Okay, we will move from our open forum to an update from the commissioner.
Great, thank you. So first, just to be to reflect on and give a framework for some of the comments, thoughtful comments that we received tonight. We've been very consistent and very clear that there is absolutely no room for hate or bigotry of any kind in our schools. And when the Trump administration rescinded its prior guidance, we came out, I think, literally within 1 to 2 days to reflect that we had an opportunity to step up and lead in Rhode Island, and we would lead in such a way that all of those protections would remain in place. Our goal, of course, is for all students, including transgender, gender non-conforming students, which I agree the data are very troubling and compelling, experience bullying and physical intimidation at rates unprecedented compared to other students' experiences, need to have the strongest protections. I think that there's perspective on this. The emphasis has been that we introduced our model policy less than a year ago. The emphasis has been that roughly 25% of the schools either have not or are not in the process of adopting a policy in this space. The other way to look at it is 75% of our districts in the state have, in less than a year, adopted policies that are protecting students in this space. And those communities, those 75% of our communities, have done so in a way that, to my knowledge, has avoided the intense conflict, the intense vilification that has occurred in other communities that have gone through a similar process. So, agreed, we have more to go, absolutely, but I believe that Rhode Island has stepped up in a way that has been thoughtful, responsive, and has done it with dignity, while building strong protections as well as local support. RIDE has an absolute obligation to look at any and all instances of inappropriate treatment of students that are reported to us. We have not received a single complaint, either in the communities that have adopted such policies or in the communities that have not yet adopted such policies. And if there were any complaints, we of course would bring our full force and authority to resolve those issues as quickly as possible. I just want to comment on one of the words that was used, and to me it was striking. The word was, we need to force. We need to force districts to do this. You can't force people to love, and sometimes when you force, you actually create the very issues that you say that you're trying to prevent. So as we're in this very important but very delicate space, I think that we all, as holders of authority, have to reflect on what the proper use of force is and whether that judicial use of force actually brings us closer to the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, or actually counterintuitively brings us farther away from the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. So we of course have received the petition. We're reviewing it, both in terms of how to be best responsive and to reach out, and we intend to reach out to our colleagues that have reached out to us, but also to determine exactly where the authority lies in terms of the department's authority, the council's authority. We of course have state protections, state statutory protections that are in place, and we'll come back to the council next month with an update. Just one other thing to mention, we have a big event planned for tomorrow. We've been working for some time. In 2015, the legislature required us to do an exhaustive survey of our school facilities. That survey has been completed. It's the first time that with one standard we have gone through every facility in the state, and we have estimates of how far away we are from our aspirational standards for the kinds of facilities students should experience. A statewide view according to one standard, one metric. We had a similar survey that was done largely through self-reported data from school districts a few years ago. So that report is going to be released tomorrow. It'll have 3 components. One is the school-by-school results of the state of our facilities. The second is a set of recommendations from our architect partner. And the third is a website tool, so anyone can look at any community in the state and see where their facilities are, and can actually compare their facilities if they live in a particular community to facilities in other areas. I've been very clear that the facilities that we have in Rhode Island absolutely are having a negative effect on the achievement and morale of both our students and our teachers. It's hard to quantify exactly what that effect is. It's not 100%, we're not off the hook by any means. We have work to do in teaching and learning, but it's not 0%. It absolutely is operating. It took us a while to get into this situation where our facilities are in the conditions that they are. It'll take us a while to get out of this situation. But I truly believe if we work together as partners, and we are determined, we have a plan, we have a goal, we can get there. And also, just to be clear, this is not an urban versus non-urban problem. The poor condition of our facilities has an intensity in our higher need communities, but it's everywhere. It's a problem that is a statewide problem, and I believe this can draw us together as Rhode Islanders to address the problem. So we look forward to more engagement following the release tomorrow. Sure.
Yeah. About the, you said that we can't force love. I wonder if we can do anything more, like provide resources. You said we're doing everything that we can to provide resources. What do you mean by that?
Sure.
What I'm wondering is there a possibility of offering some kind of cultural training to the teachers, to the staff? Because you can't force love and you can't force anything, but you can provide resources that can change the attitude among the school.
So I want to be clear, we absolutely have a duty to protect. No questions. And that's a shared responsibility at RIDE as well as in our partners in school districts. So that's a hard edge, and we don't move away from that. We absolutely have a duty to protect. And I feel very strongly that not only should students feel safe and secure in their schools, but they need to feel valued as their voice and their uniqueness, their individuality, who they are. Student voice has been a central piece of everything that I've been about since I was a student, and certainly since I've been your commissioner. So we have a lot of work to do. The question is how to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve, and sometimes there's a tendency to open, and sometimes there's a tendency to close. To your question, there's lots of things we can do. My team, I'm very proud of my team. They've been very involved and engaged in this space for years, working with people from all across the state. It wasn't magical or spontaneous, that the guidance that we put out, that was the compliments that were paid to it didn't just arise out of nowhere. We didn't just make it up. We did it in partnership with people across the state. So right there, coming up with guidance that addresses and teaches. Part of this challenge is we're educators. We have to teach people what are the challenges and opportunities that come with these sets of issues. So I believe we're all teachers at heart, and I believe that our guidance teaches. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to engage. And now we just have a decision point of those communities, and the list of, it's roughly 9 communities that don't have anything in action right now, at least according to the ACLU's very thorough analysis. Of those 9 communities, do we believe that they're so disconnected from where we want them to be that we need to step in and compel, or do we believe that we can get them where they need to be in a way that builds up local support and so on? And if you follow this debate, and it truly is an ugly debate across the country, not just in the courts, but in schoolhouses across the country, we have so far avoided all of that just really ugly negativity at the community level. I'm not saying there haven't been ugly instances, but at the community level, people coming out and fighting over this, we have avoided that in a way that we've also been moving forward. We have been not been ducking the issue, but so far we have avoided just the vicious fights. And the question for us is, can we continue to make progress while avoiding the vicious fights, or do we have to take other steps? And that's just a question. And we're going to be very thoughtful, and we're going to, again, like I said, we're going to reach out to the people who reached out to us, and we'll come back next month with a recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner.